Mr. Transworld's 96 here in the video review. This time we have the DC Collectibles DC Films Premium Line Armored Batman from Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. So this is a figure that I've been very much looking forward to, specifically so that this line can finally start. There's been so much that has happened with this line, lots of cancellations, even before the first figures came out. I have made a separate video kind of discussing this line in general, now that I have these figures and kind of what I hope for the future of it, so feel free to check that out. But in this video I'm going to be reviewing Armored Batman, of course. As you can see, I do like the design of the packaging, and I like the blue color scheme that they went with. There's a nice picture of Armored Batman at the back there. Hard to see, though, with the packing inserts in. Get a nice picture of the figure on the side. On the back, you get the first two figures in this first wave, that being Armored Batman and Superman. I did pick up both of these, so there will be a review of Superman coming soon. But yeah, so I've been very much anticipating the release of these figures. They've looked quite good to me, and now I'm extremely happy to finally have them. So before I go into this actual figure, let's go over his accessories. Alright, so he comes with a total of 3 pairs of hands and then 1 weapon. As far as the hands go, he comes with a pair of fists, pair of relaxed palms that kind of are meant to hold the weapon, and then a pair of kind of open gesturing hands. I think the assortment of hands is nice, although I think that the relaxed palms that are supposed to hold this weapon really are poorly designed. I don't quite know how you're supposed to do it. I mean, that's just kind of the only way to do it, and it's very loose. As you can see, it can wobble just while it's in there, and then, you know, it'll just fall out just about. So it's just kind of ridiculous. I don't get it. It's like these are supposed to be relaxed palms, and they just forgot to sculpt the hands meant for holding the weapon. So it's a shame. I mean, you can certainly get him to hold the weapon like for poses. However, when you just have him holding the weapon, if you start reposing him, the weapon will fall out of his hand. It's extremely annoying. So basically you have to pose him in the position that you want and then put the weapon in and then take the photo and then, you know, kind of just take it out, because it really doesn't work well otherwise. Here's the gun. As you can see, it is extended. It is open for him to like put the grenade in. Would have been kind of cool if he came with like a grenade that, you know, had some green coloring on it to represent the kryptonite, you know, grenades that go inside. So it's very nice, looking quite good. Would have been nice. I believe that he does use a grapple gun, or at least a form of it, in this armored suit during that fight with Superman. So that would have been nice for him to come with. Other than that, though, I think that he comes with just about everything that you could want for this version of Batman. And here's the base that seems to be the standard for this DC Films Premium line. I do like the design of the base. I think it looks quite nice. I like how large it is, because it is pretty large. And then I do also like that the edges go out a bit more, and then they kind of come into a point here. It just kind of looks nice. Now, what I don't like about it is just all the holes on it. I mean, it's ridiculous. I could kind of see like doing one at the front, one at the back, something like that. But just to have so many like spots and ports for to plug this thing in is just ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of nice if you wanted to pose like 2 people on it at once. I kind of get the point, but really wish that they at least slimmed down some of these points. Maybe just put a point like on each corner so it looked more like a stylized choice rather than a functional choice, but yet it was still functional. That would have been quite nice, but instead they put just some in some of the corners and then they put some in the middle, and I mean, it looks a little ridiculous. So I'm quite disappointed by that. I like their idea of it, but it just isn't executed well. And then he does come with this you know, stand. It's meant to hold it. Obviously, this is just in there on a peg, so you can move it around. It has a hinge here, hinge here, hinge here, and then it can also swivel up here, and then this can open up where you can put it in the figure, and it's on a spring, so that that'll basically hold it firmly. As far as these bases go, I mean, they seem to be pretty sturdy at the moment. Most of the bases that like have a flight pole to them that I've found that aren't Hot Toys, usually they get weak after a while, and then usually you have to try to screw the screws back in to kind of strengthen them a bit more. I've had a lot of trouble with bases like this in the past, so I am a little bit worried about this one. However, I do like the design of this base. Wish that a few things would change, but I still think that it's pretty decent, and I love the size of it. That's my favorite part about it. So it is quite nice for this line. I do hope they continue to give this to every character, like even Harley Quinn, even non-flying characters. I really do want them to have a unified base. I think that you know, to have a base that's the same for all of them is quite nice. Alright, so on to the main attraction, the figure. So as far as the paint goes, the paint is quite nice on this figure. As you can see, the under kind of suit of it is painted in a gray, which does have a bit, well, it's kind of painted in like more of a creamish gray, and then it does have a bit of actual gray kind of wash into it. You can see, especially at the bicep area, it gives it a more realistic and kind of a worn look, which obviously, this being a movie figure, it definitely needs to have. The armor itself is painted really nicely. It's kind of like a silver, but it's not quite shiny, and then it has a almost like a cream silver that's been kind of washed into it. It really looks good. I do like the way that they've battle damaged this. It looks extremely worn when you're looking at it close and you look at all the detail. There's a lot of a wear and tear based on the paint. However, just seeing it in person, it doesn't look like it's overdone at all. I mean, it looks very subtle. So I do like the way that they have painted this figure. It's quite nice. And obviously, you get the gold pouches, bit of splotching there on that center pouch for mine, but that's not a big deal. I also like the way that the strap is put on. Usually figures, I mean, they put on the straps just so cleanly. This is nice. I like the way that it's been moved. It looks really natural, almost to the point where I was thinking, you know, is that a natural like rubber strap? But it's not. So that's quite nice. I do like the way that they've sculpted that. The head sculpt is quite good, quite menacing. One thing I would have liked, but it is unnecessary, but it would have been cool, basically, if he did have interchangeable mouth plates. I think that would have been nice just to give him some more expression, and that would have been cool. But again, it is unnecessary for this figure, I would say. As far as his other function, he has a light-up function. This is unique to just him. I don't think any of the other Films Premium line figures are going to have this, but he does have light-up eyes, which is quite cool. You just hit the center piece right here, and his eyes light up. There you go. Get some darkness, and you can really see that. It's very cool. I do like it a lot. It looks quite nice. It's very bright as well, and it looks just very cool. If you turn the lights back on, can still kind of see it there and there. It's giving the camera a really bluish look. Let me try to fix that. Alright, sorry about that. As you can see, you do have the lights on, so when you turn the lights off, what's really cool is it's not like a clear, he doesn't have clear eyes now. It's more just like black eyes, which I think is actually really nice. I do like that quite a bit. I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate. I don't know if we ever see Armored Batman in the movie without the lights on, so I don't know if we can even tell if that's accurate, but I do like the black eyes instead of just having like a clear slits, you know, which normal figures would have if they have a light up function. As far as his cape goes, his cape is quite bulky. As you can see, I mean, if you stretch it out, it's very big. It can take up a lot of space, and the fabric of it is completely different from the Superman cape. It's more, you can kind of hear it when you slide it. I don't quite know what the fabric name would be, but it's definitely something that's harder, has more of a paperish feel rather than the cloth feel of the Superman cape. It does have a wire that starts basically like right here, and it goes all the way down the side. The wire is very thick, which is awesome because it really allows you to pose up the cape very nicely, and you can really do some amazing poses with it. It does take work, though. I will say it's not something that's quite easy. You have to work with it to actually get some nice poses, but as long as you put in the time and really try to do it nicely, you can achieve some really fantastic poses with this cape. Same thing with Superman. I love the capes with these two. The capes just kind of are pegged into the side here, so some people could dislike the way that they kind of stick out like this and they're not super flush on the body. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, they sit flush enough in my opinion, so I am pretty okay with that. Alright, so now to go over the articulation. So articulation is really quite good. It is a bit hindered. I will say that the Superman articulation is slightly better than this one, but this is still quite good. So let's get into it. First of all, the head is hindered. At the top joint there, you really only have a swivel, and then at the base of the neck, you basically get a bit of down and a bit of up. So, you get just the slightest bit up. It mainly just kind of levels out, and then you get a bit down, which it does look down pretty decent, and then you get a solid swivel. So articulation at the neck is hindered. I mean, it's alright, but would have definitely preferred it to be a bit more extreme, somewhere similar to like Superman. But obviously, this figure has some electronics, which is why some of the points are hindered. He has a ball-jointed a ball hinge shoulder joint that also has this panel on a hinge. It does also have a butterfly joint as well, but it's in a different way than the Superman one. It's mainly the ball joint, and then there's a pin that goes into the body, and the pin is on a ball joint, so that allows it to go in and out like this, as you can see, like the butterfly joint, and then the ball joint on top obviously works fully, where you can raise the arm and swivel it completely, of course. Superman has the same, it works the same way, but it's a different style of joint. It has more of the actual like visible butterfly piece, and then it has the ball joint that's attached to that. But while this one it does it more on a pin. Then he has a swivel waist. I mean, it can go up and down the slightest, but it's mainly just swivel, and that swivel is quite hindered as well. That is, of course, because of the electronics as well, with the button being right here. There's wires running through his body, I would assume. So he is very hindered in the torso and a bit hindered in the neck, unfortunately. He has a swivel at the bicep, double hinge elbows, and even with his quite beefy proportions there, as you can see, you can get a nice bend on that. It's perfect. You have ball hinge wrists, so the hinge on the wrist works quite nice, and then it obviously swivels at the base of the wrist and at the top of the wrist. Then you have ball jointed thighs. Now this, let me take them off of this. Alright, so the thigh joints are really neat. This is something that I wasn't expecting, so I was very pleased to see, is that he has a ball jointed thigh, but it is on a pin that goes to the centerpiece area, which can be lowered, and therefore he can kick up higher. This is the same thing on Superman, and this is a joint that's very similar to what Hot Toys uses for their Iron Man figures, so it's very impressive to see a figure like this be able to utilize that. I'm trying to think, I don't think I have another figure that has that type of joint that's not a 1/6 scale figure, so that's very cool. And then he doesn't have a swivel at the thigh, but the ball joint has enough clearance to get a nice swivel in there. Then he has double hinge knees, which are very nice. They're quite tight as well. I will say that the Superman figure has slightly looser knee joints. They're not loose, but they're not as tight as I would have hoped. This guy, though, he's got very tight knee joints, which works quite nicely. And as you can see, you get a pretty strong bend there. And then he has ankle articulation, which can hinge forward a bit. It can obviously swivel, and then it can pivot as well. So ankle articulation is pretty great. The Superman also has an ankle pivot, but you kind of have to move the joint to utilize that pivot, which is very annoying. With Batman here, though, you don't need to do that. No matter where the joint's pointed, you'll still have the pivot because it's on a separate pin, so that is nice. So his articulation is quite good. It is obviously better than DC Collectibles standard articulation, and it is more like an imported figures articulation style, particularly in the shoulders and the wrists and things like that. So that is definitely one of the selling points of this new series, is that kind of amped up articulation. Doing a little bit of size comparison, this is a larger scale. It's about a 7-inch scale. As you can see with a Mattel figure, it just dwarfs it. I mean, this guy, not only is he like really buff, but he's very tall as well. Marvel Universe figure, or Marvel Legends figure, I mean. And when I'm putting them here, I am standing them on his base, so they are on the same level. As you can see, very small as well. So this guy's very tall. He'd kind of be in line with the select figures from Marvel Legends, I'd say. As far as other DC figures, he's definitely not in scale with Mattel, like we just saw. Figure Arts and Mezco, or not Mezco, but Mafex, he's definitely not going to be in scale with. So, I mean, maybe Mezco's the only line. I'm not quite sure if Mezco would be in scale, but it might be. So, this guy, not going to be really in scale with much else other than this series. So, you know, if you want an Armored Batman, this one's probably not going to work if you have, you know, a Mafex collection or something like that. But I overall really enjoyed this figure. I think it's quite fantastic. The light up function is very neat. It's not 100% necessary, but I still think that it is quite cool. Get a little shot of the two of them. And I just enjoy this series in general, and I'm really happy to get a nice series of movie DC figures. I feel like we really are lacking on that at this point, so it is very nice to see DC Collectibles finally stepping up to the plate and doing movie figures, and doing them quite nicely, I will say. So there you go, that's my review of the DC Collectibles Films Premium Line Armored Batman figure. Great figure, very happy to have it. Can't wait for some of the other versions of Batman from this series, and stay tuned for my review on Superman. Should be posting it pretty soon. Alright, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think of this figure.